Hey, you listen to Wrestling Roundup, FreeFM 89.0. As always, I'm Grady, and live on Skype we got Josh.
Yeah.
So we're going to start off with TLC, Tables, Ladders, and Chairs. We're on the pre-show. Sasha Banks taking on Alicia Fox, and Alicia Fox not being shoved into obscurity just yet.
Nope. It was a good match. I really enjoyed it.
Hmm.
And I've been enjoying more and more of the absolutely nutty Alicia.
Yeah. She had a great period where she was doing the insane thing, and the insane thing was great, and then it just sort of faded off a little bit. So to see it coming back and it's still working is great. It's something, and in the women's division, having something at the moment is a little better than having nothing. And despite the loss here to Sasha on the pre-show, Alicia somehow ended up. We'll get to how it happens in the future, but is the captain of Team Raw for the woman.
Yeah, and I have comment when we discuss it.
I'm sure. But somehow there's still a very large portion of females on the Raw roster who are not entirely irrelevant. But yeah, Sasha picks up the win. Alicia Fox goes on to arguably bigger and brighter things despite the loss. Now, Asuka Emma, first match on the card. It, according to Wikipedia, I know you timed it and you told me the time immediately after. I'm going to go off the Wikipedia time of 9 minutes and 25 seconds. Emma lasted.
Yeah, I went 9 minutes 24 seconds. So somebody's time stopwatch was 1 second faster than mine.
Yeah, it was surprising. I'll give you that. It wasn't a one-sided affair. Emma had offense. Emma got in a lot of offense at certain points in the match, looked to be arguably dominating. Ultimately, we all knew she was going to lose, but lasting 9.5 minutes was a lot longer than I think anybody ever expected her to last.
Yeah. It was more than 4 times longer than I expected her to last. I predicted 1 minute 38 seconds.
Yeah. I think I'd said like 2 to 3. I had no hope. But yeah, we saw a match which I don't think anybody expected. It wasn't Asuka o'clock. It was a match.
Yeah, once the match opened up the show, that's when you knew it was going to go at least 5 minutes. Because there's no reason to open the show with a squash match.
Yeah. I'm going to give thumbs up to everyone involved in this. Just Asuka, great debut coming out. Emma holding her own up against Asuka. Good things for both moving forward. But, you know, Survivor Series is coming up. And yeah, when we start talking about what Survivor Series is going to do, it does sort of limit. But we'll see what happens with these two. I've still got fingers crossed Emma. She moved herself into a fairly prominent position in the Raw Women's roster and managed to hold her own, you know, not taking the pinfall in the Fatal 4-Way, winning to take on Asuka and potentially lose her life, not going out in 2 minutes up against Asuka. May not be the most amazing achievements, but are achievements.
Yeah, she still had to pick up her teeth out of the third row, though.
Oh, yeah. That's just standard for any match with Asuka. They'll actually bag it up and give it to you as Ziploc as you walk back through Gorilla. Yeah, it was a good match, and I didn't expect to be able to say that. Let's hit all of the women's matches in one go, so we'll just go to the Women's Championship. Alexa Bliss successfully retaining against Mickie James.
It was another good match. Honestly, Emma Asuka was better.
Yeah?
What
about Sasha Fox?
About the same.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely agree that Asuka Emma was the best women's division match of the night. I think, again, everybody expected Alexa to retain here. Mickie did seem almost a stopgap challenger. But at the moment, everything is going to be a little stopgappy for a couple weeks, but we'll see what happens to both of them. But we did have, 6 females featured on the card in singles matches, so I'm going to count that as a bit of a positive.
Yeah, we had 3 women's matches, 2 cruiserweight matches, and a cruiserweight segment, quotation marks.
Yeah.
On a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
I don't think that ever happened before.
No. And it was arguably a third of the card each, obviously not in runtime, but we also had 3 non-cruiserweight or women's division matches. So I think it balanced out. I think, honestly, it didn't feel like there was too many women, and there didn't feel like it was too many cruiserweights either, so I think it just shows that you can strike a balance there, on the right amount of each division getting showtime on a 3-hour show.
Well, it definitely helped that all the major players were in the main event.
Mm.
So that took spots that would normally have been taken away from them. It gave them a chance to shine because they had to have somebody to fill those spots.
Yeah, and it definitely was that. It was their time to shine. It was their time to prove why they should be given more screen time in the future, and more shots and at pay-per-views in the future. And I think they did well in showcasing their skills, for the most part. Obviously, we're always, with the last minute change, going to be overshadowed by the main event, but we'll get there. We'll get there. Cruiserweights. We'll start off. Drew Gulak having no luck. Dude never has any luck.
Yeah, his PowerPoint got cut for time. I'm enjoying his gimmick. I really like it. And he's become a member of Enzo's Goon Squad.
Yeah, we saw a what was it, a 5-on-5 match, I believe. There's definitely sides to be taken. I think that also foreshadows Survivor Series a little bit. So we'll see what the cruiserweights are going to get going into the pay-per-view. But yeah, Drew.
Only thing I know, it won't be a 5-on-5 elimination match.
Or won't it?
Well, Kurt said there would be 2 elimination matches, a men's match and a women's match.
Okay, I got no idea. I give up. We'll see what happens. There's always, like a battle royal. Give them a 12-man tag. Make it a non-elimination one. We'll see. Or maybe we just have a couple one-on-ones. But the card is already filling up, once we get to the Survivor Series part. But we'll try to stick Cruiserweights TLC. Tag team match, Cedric Alexander and Rich Swann defeated Jack Gallagher and the Brian Kendrick.
It was a decent match. I will say this. Cedric Alexander's probably got one of the most, if not the most brutal finisher in the WWE right now.
Mm.
That lumbar check looks painful as heck.
Yeah. There's definitely a balance between having a finisher that is showy and then having a finisher that it looks like it hurts like hell to take. And he definitely falls into that second category. But overall, the Cruiserweights, again, it was a bit of a chance to do something different. It wasn't your usual 6-man here. I guess give them a bit of a tag team. Cedric and Rich worked together well, and Jack and Kendrick seem to be a team for now. But, when there's 2 dastardly smart, evil dudes on a team, that never works out for too long. One of them's going to crack. But yeah, Cedric and Swan, really super charisma there, with the 2 of them. Cruiserweight Championship. Enzo, sadly, as expected, picks up his championship off Kalisto again.
And then successfully retained it on 205 Live. As far as I'm concerned, really, Enzo was probably the better choice anyway. Because he could sell the division a lot better than... I love Kalisto, but he cannot cut a promo.
Yeah.
To save him.
But he does good lucha things.
But that's Enzo's specialty. And whoever actually does successfully take the title off of Enzo permanently is going to get a major push out of it.
Mm-hmm.
At least as far as cruiserweights go.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely going to have to see where we go from here. But Enzo has his own Goon Squad. He didn't, surprisingly, a guy who has a Goon Squad didn't use them to win the title.
Yeah. Yeah, right now with Survivor Series on the horizon, obviously, the Cruiserweights don't have anything just yet that I can see.
I have a proposal. SmackDown doesn't have a corresponding champion to the Cruiserweight division, correct?
Correct.
Bring, for one night only, the WWE United Kingdom champion to Survivor Series and have him face Enzo.
I'll give it to you. I definitely heard people's, like, obviously we know there's only going to be 2 Survivor Series matches, but somebody's, before it was all announced, like, Dream One was where it was Team UK versus Team Cruiserweight. It's, I guess, the most comparable division, you know? The UK guys are meant to be getting their own show. Cruiserweights have their own show. I guess, if anything, the UK division is sort of, I guess, a brother to NXT more than it is to a main roster one, but NXT obviously busy the night before with a hell of a lot of other stuff. I wouldn't mind seeing a bit of UK main roster crossover.
Yeah, because they did have a brief couple months where the UK guys were wrestling on 205 Live. So, but yeah, it was just a random idea I had. It was just that Daniel Bryan would call up NXT and like, can I have the United Kingdom champion for one night?
Plus, I'd love to see Pete Dunne beat the ever-loving poop out of Enzo. So at this point, we got to bring up illness. It struck the Raw roster. Do we have confirmation on exactly what it was just yet?
Nothing's been confirmed, but it's highly rumored that it was viral meningitis.
Which is really bad, in terms of, like, you say the word meningitis and everybody in New Zealand freaks out. I don't know how it is everywhere else, but yeah, it doesn't sound good. And it was not too soon before this show, right? Like, it was less than a week, I want to say, before TLC.
Yeah, Bray was missing the week on Raw. And then it came out that JoJo was sick, and Bo was sick, which explained why he was missing on Raw too.
Yep.
And then on Friday, the bombshell dropped.
It definitely was the bombshell.
That Roman Reigns had caught whatever the viral infection was, and had to be removed from the main event.
Reigns has the worst timing of anybody in terms of having to take a large amount of time off. Would you include his injuries, his illness here, and his suspension? And it's just... dude's been unlucky. The hyped Shield reunion just killed off.
Yeah, 'cause a couple years ago he was about to get started on his major push, and he got sidelined for a couple months with his hernia injury. Then he finally gets his major push and gets popped for a wellness violation
just before the Shield triple threat match.
Yeah. And then the Shield finally reunites, only to see him get sick.
Disappointing.
And not be able to participate.
Yeah, it's just super disappointing, obviously, because we had the Shield reforming, and they're going to come together. It was a 5-on-3. The odds were against them, but obviously health is number one. Very closely tied with family. So, you know, health comes first, got to take the time off, and we got a suitable replacement. But we'll get to the 5-on-3. We'll start off first with the Demon Finn Balor. Obviously Bray Wyatt, or Sister Abigail, out with the illness. We'll see what happens in terms of the Sister Abigail Demon match, but we got AJ Styles instead.
AJ Styles had one hell of a weekend.
He was busy.
On Friday he actually missed a show because of stomach issues. On Saturday he wrestled 2 shows, and then proceeded to catch an 18-hour flight to Minneapolis to then wrestle with Finn Balor.
And then he was on Raw, and then he was on SmackDown, and by God.
But, yeah, when he did the promo at the beginning during the pre-show, you could tell he was dead tired.
Yep.
He looked like he was dead on his feet, literally.
Yep.
And they hadn't worked out much, hadn't had much time to work them through the match. and he still did a 20-minute match.
And an amazing match at that.
Yeah, AJ Styles is the closest thing that we will have in this generation to Shawn Michaels.
Minus the bad stuff at the start. Yeah, I definitely give it to you. AJ Styles, Finn Balor, minimal notice, as you said, AJ Styles flying around all over the place. Dude still comes in, tears the house down with an amazing match. And then immediately, we gotta go do this date, then we gotta go do this date, and then he's off again, and yeah, it was a great match between the two as well, and you had, I guess, that excuse that he was flying around all over the place. If you ever want to have a future Finn Balor AJ Styles match down the line, which I'm sure we will at some point, as to why Finn won here, you only won because I was flown in last minute, and I was flying around all the place, and bit of an excuse there to get him out of it. But big ups to both men with the last minute change. Jason Jordan, Elias, it was a match.
I really had hoped that the segments leading up to the match would lead up to something more than just a standard match, because it was so much more fun watching the way they had the camera look. It actually looked like fans were throwing things at Elias.
Yeah.
That we had somehow gone back 20 years into the past and gone back to the Attitude Era. And which was, in this case, was not a good thing.
Yeah. I'll give it to you. The segments leading up to this match were brilliant. I loved the segments. I think, as you said, the match was a little bit of a letdown after all the segments, but yeah, I was hoping for a little bit more. But we got what we got.
The match definitely had to happen because we needed something to cool down between the Finn Balor AJ Styles match and the main event.
Oh, hell yes. There was no way we could roll straight from that to that. In fact, we're going to cool down between the two matches. We're actually going to go to our entrance theme, just because, we don't want to play the entrance theme with 5 minutes left in the show, so we'll play it now. When we come back, 5-on-3 handicap, TLC main event, and looking ahead to Survivor Series. But that theme we're going to play for you, Randy Orton's theme. And that's Roundup, FreeFM at 89.0. Why are we playing Randy Orton's theme?
Because on October 27th, 2013, Randy Orton won the WWE Championship. It's an anniversary thing.
We haven't done this day in history for like 4 years. God, that was an old segment. We're going to get straight back into it. TLC, 5-on-3 handicap match. We talked about it. Roman Reigns out with injury. His replacement, the Raw General Manager, Kurt Angle, rounding out the match to be Kurt Angle, Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, taking on The Miz, Cesaro, Sheamus, Braun Strowman, and Kane. Where do you start?
Let's start with the beginning, the Shield entrance.
Kurt looked hilarious.
Yeah, he looked like the old guy that got to go out with his young friends and tried to look cool while doing it, which I think was actually very appropriate.
Yeah.
I was kind of disappointed at the beginning because I thought they would do the Shield entrance theme and they would transition into Kurt's theme. But that never happened, which kind of disappointed me. But then later on in the show, they showed us why they didn't do that.
Yeah. I think it was also a very coy way of getting Kurt into the nice padded vest, which obviously helps out a little bit when you're being hiffed around and slammed through things. Because Kurt took some big bumps that ended up taking him out or being taken to the back.
Yeah, Kurt did some work. That's for sure. He looked good in the time frame he was involved in the match.
Yeah. What would that be, like the first 5 and the last 5? But yeah, Kurt looked good. I don't know what this means going forward with Kurt. As far as I know, it's a one-off. We'll see. Obviously, the door was open. If now, it's probably a little bit more open. Yeah, we'll have to see whether they're going to want Kurt back in a couple more matches or not, but this one was good.
Survivor Series!
Where do we go next? Kane is a madman?
Kane is a monster. The guy is 50 years old and can still do things the way he did when he was 30. I'm I've I was I've always been very impressed by Kane's abilities in the ring. Um, Once they dropped that stupid voice box gimmick and
Yeah.
actually let him speak, he became much better for it.
Yeah.
I and the guy can scare people half to death
Oh yeah.
when he wants to. And as Braun Strowman found out, he's very vindictive if you piss him off.
I'd like to point out here that they committed murder. Many a times, I know Braun Strowman himself has committed murder many a times live on television. They threw a man in the back of a garbage truck.
Um, yeah, and you got to remember, this is the same man that survived being put in the back of an ambulance and crashed into a trailer and walked away from said accident.
Just because he's a superhuman god doesn't mean we can throw him in the back of a trash van.
We'll see him back in a couple of weeks. Obviously, we're getting a Braun versus Kane feud, but wouldn't it be very interesting that within about 2 months of each other, both Kane and Big Show would be retired by their replacement?
hmm I'm both happy and fine with that. Braun Strowman Kane will be great. We'll see how it goes moving forward. The match ending, I guess. Good guys coming out on top. Kind of inevitable once Kurt was coming back for his match.
Yeah, the only thing that bothered me was the logic of the 3-man beatdown is that they said Miz had no way out. He had an entire side of the ring where there was nobody there. He could have ran.
Yeah, that's always the way, right? Is that one side, but just nobody talks about it. People can't exit that side. It's got bad juju. But yeah, we got a cool couple of spots. Kurt Angle did some angle slams. There was a table involved, and we got our big triple team at the end, and everybody went home happy.
Yep.
I think that was a thumbs up for that match and a thumbs up for the pay-per-view as a whole, even with its last-minute changes. Well, we're going to quickly run out of time, so we better get on to Survivor Series stuff. So, we've pretty much got the entire Survivor Series match card laid out. I'm going to start at the top. We're going to talk briefly. You're going to throw out your opinions right now on who you think will win. We'll see if it changes closer to the event. Universal Champion Brock Lesnar versus WWE Champion Jinder Mahal.
No contest.
No contest because Brock absolutely murders one of the Singh brothers by throwing him 60
nobody
feet.
wins the match. But yeah, the Singh brothers will probably get killed too.
Yeah.
But I just don't see the match having a definitive outcome.
Okay. Raw Women's Champion Alexa Bliss taking on SmackDown Women's Champion Natalya. Well, obviously similar alignments here, but generally at a Raw versus SmackDown pay-per-view, those are thrown out the window.
I'm going to go with Alexa Bliss just because she's the only woman to have held both titles
Fair enough.
at this point. So it would be kind of stupid not to put her over.
Ambrose Rollins versus the Usos.
Ooh, this is going to be a really good match.
Mm-hmm. Especially
I'm gonna
looking at what the Usos New Day.
I'm going to give the win to SmackDown on this one.
Okay. At the moment, I'm going to go opposite. I just think Ambrose Rollins is still riding high at the moment. I think they're going to have the better chance. Plus, I'm going to give the mid-card to SmackDown anyway. So we'll get the Intercontinental Champion, The Miz, versus United States Champion, Baron Corbin.
I wanted to see this match. I'm very happy. I'm going to give Baron Corbin the win as well.
Yes.
I'll give SmackDown the...
Baron Corbin. I'm really hoping for a good one here. Again, similar alignments. But The Miz is always good at putting people over when he needs to. And Baron Corbin, there's no harm in giving him the win here. Fingers crossed on that one. We get a 5 vs 5 classic Survivor Series elimination tag team match between Team Raw and Team SmackDown. All we know so far is that Randy Orton defeated Sami Zayn to have a spot on Team SmackDown. So
Team SmackDown wins.
Team SmackDown wins only knowing that Randy Orton's on it.
Yes.
Okay. It's really hard to pick at this point. Obviously, we don't know who's on it. I looked at the talent pool. I think SmackDown has a heck of a lot more to choose from to be in their match. So I'm also gonna tip my hat to SmackDown here. I think they just got a little bit more.
I'm just going with the fact that SmackDown almost seems to always win these things.
True. So with the women's then, We got the Raw Women's and the SmackDown Women's. On the Raw side, we know Alicia Fox will be the captain. On SmackDown, we know Becky Lynch will be the captain with a team involving Charlotte Flair, Naomi, Carmella, and Tamina.
Team SmackDown wins because Alicia Fox will be crazy enough to forget to pick Asuka.
Yes. You can't, right? Surely you remember.
No, she'll be crazy enough not to pick her.
Well, what? We got 4 slots on the team.
Which is the one way that they'll use to protect Asuka's undefeated streak.
Fair enough. So she's got 4 slots on her team, and she can choose from Asuka, Bayley, Sasha Banks, Emma, Nia Jax, Mickie James, and Dana Brooks. That's 7 to choose from for 4 slots, so she can definitely avoid picking Asuka there. Righty ho, well, that's Survivor Series. Been a long one. We'll see what happens as we get closer and closer to the event. I'll quickly Google here the date. It is the 19th of November, so we got another, 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks before then, of building up, finishing out the teams, and seeing what other matches we get on the card. But we'll see what that is in 3 weeks when we get to it. It's been great talking to you.
Maybe.
You can visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/Wrestling Roundup Radio, Twitter page, twitter.com/Wrestling Radio. We'll see you next week.